been taken. These decisions were meant to break the first chains of slavery, imperialism, and neocolonialism. Because, let's say, you cannot hope to find your lost object by calling for help from the one who stole it from you. 2023 was a year where many initiatives saw the light of day. On December 11, we summarized everything we have taken as an initiative in the defense field, in the health field, and especially in the field of food self-sufficiency. Many industrialization and development initiatives have been launched. This is the place for me to salute the Burkina Faso people for their resilience, for having understood the meaning of the fight that we are waging for the reconquest of the territory, and for the independence of Burkina Faso.
French troops had been staying in Burkina Faso since 2014 on the excuse that they were helping the country fight terrorism. However, while staying for about 10 years, French troops could not end terrorism. Ibrahim Traoré found out that African countries had been trying to fight the problem by welcoming those who had created the problem in the first place. It appeared that they did not want terrorists to end. Otherwise, they had to leave the country. This would mean France could no longer exploit and intimidate the governments into making pro-French policies. That's why 1 year ago, Burkina Faso's president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, gave France an ultimatum to call its troops back. Now, even without French troops, Burkina Faso's military has been fighting terrorists effectively. France could not see that happening because if Burkina Faso's military succeeded, French troops would have no excuse to return. Therefore, France assigned a task to its secret intelligence agents and spies in Burkina Faso. However, Burkina Faso's military has caught these French spies. What has Ibrahim Traoré decided to do with them, and what were they doing? Let's know about that in this video. So, what has happened? Just recently, it has been reported that Burkina Faso's military has detained French agents and Spies. This news should not be confused with the earlier news from December 2023. While a source from Burkina Faso labeled them as intelligence agents, a French diplomatic source identified them as computer maintenance technicians. That's what Western countries always do. Whenever their agents are caught doing questionable activities, they either disown them or say they were doing minor jobs. The Burkina Faso source disclosed ongoing investigations to ascertain the true nature of the activities of these individuals, purportedly linked to the DGSE, external intelligence. They are currently under investigation, and they have revealed groundbreaking information, which we will explain in a few seconds. It was later reported that the French spies were formally indicted and transferred to the Ouagadougou Detention and Correction Center. The source clarified that the French Consulate General extended consular protection to them. While acknowledging the legal proceedings, the French government dismissed allegations suggesting that these technicians were deployed to Burkina Faso for reasons other than their computer maintenance duties. The diplomatic source stressed the urgent need for their return to France. According to a European diplomatic source, these French individuals are recognized by their Burkina Faso counterparts. Until now, the French spies have been charged with espionage and are under heavy supervision and detention. The disclosure of these arrests has put French authorities in an awkward position, prompting attempts. Interestingly, France reached the first media house that reported this news to dissuade it from publicizing it. While French intelligence services typically maintain discretion, the Foreign Ministry has attempted to downplay the incident. Despite reassurances from a French diplomat who expressed familiarity with such challenges, an observer within the intelligence community views the situation as unprecedented and deeply embarrassing. This development is especially troubling given the region's historical lack of technical intelligence. This means that the arrested French citizens were actually spies who had been assigned missions. Lately, French President Macron has been frustrated by the country's intelligence service on issues such as not giving any reports about possible coup in Niger. Now, after French spies have been caught, it further shows how incompetent the French intelligence agency is. The French government denies any ulterior motives and calls for the immediate repatriation of its citizens to France. Despite efforts to secure their release, tensions persist between Burkina Faso and France, worsened by the 2022 coup and the subsequent withdrawal of French forces. What were the French spies doing in Burkina Faso? Earlier, there were frequent news updates that Burkina Faso had caught French spies who were reported to provide sensitive information to France. However, this time, it's quite different. The reported shift from traditional espionage to supporting terrorist groups marks a departure from conventional intelligence gathering methods. This change suggests a readiness to adopt more covert and potentially risky tactics in pursuit of strategic goals. Burkina Faso, situated in the Sahel region known for terrorist activities and geopolitical tensions, is crucial. France seeks to uphold its influence here to counter terrorism, safeguard its economic interests, and assert dominance amid emerging geopolitical rivals. By backing terrorist factions, French agents may have aimed to escalate security concerns in Burkina Faso. This escalation could serve various purposes, like justifying an increased French military presence, bolstering France's role as a security provider, and reinforcing its influence over Burkinabe affairs. Heightened insecurity might offer grounds for France to deploy or redeploy troops to Burkina Faso. Such a move would align with France's broader strategy to combat terrorism in the Sahel and maintain its regional influence as a key player. Burkina Faso boasts abundant natural resources like gold and uranium, appealing to France's economic interests. By manipulating the security situation, French agents may seek to secure access to these resources or safeguard existing investments in the country. But what have these French spies revealed during interrogation? Recent discoveries suggest that French intelligence agents captured in Burkina Faso have shared vital information about extensive agent networks operating across various African countries. Allegedly, these networks provide aid to rebel groups involved in conflicts across the region. What's especially troubling about this disclosure is the suspected motive behind these actions: to facilitate the deployment of French troops under the pretext of fighting terrorism. The importance of these revelations is deeply troubling. They suggest a deliberate manipulation of security threats to advance political objectives, potentially destabilizing affected African nations and undermining peace efforts. By fabricating or exacerbating conflicts, certain parties like France aim to justify their military presence in the region, apparently to combat terrorism. However, if these revelations are true, it implies that forces seemingly fighting terrorism may inadvertently perpetuate it. These developments call for a thorough investigation into the nature of counterterrorism efforts in Africa and the influence of foreign powers on regional dynamics. They emphasize the importance of transparency and accountability in security operations, as well as genuine collaboration between African states and their international partners to effectively address security challenges. Furthermore, if the reported statements given by the French spies are confirmed, they could have significant implications for diplomatic relations between France and affected African nations. Trust and cooperation, crucial components of successful partnerships, could suffer substantial setbacks, potentially impeding efforts to address shared security concerns and promote mutual development. But what is the evidence that France has set in place an extensive network of agents that help terrorist groups? Well, Burkina Faso is not the only country revealing how France uses its troops and agents' network to create a threat of terrorism and then pretend to help. Mali has also exposed France in a way that embarrassed France. Earlier, Abdoulaye Diop, Mali's foreign affairs minister, wrote a letter to the president of the UN Security Council, alleging French support for terrorist groups. The letter detailed more than 50 incidents that were purportedly deliberate violations of Malian airspace by foreign aircraft, particularly those operated by France. One might wonder why these violations were committed. Well, they were done so French forces could deliver weapons and ammunition to the terrorist groups in the Sahel region. If France had asked for permission, Mali's authorities would have demanded an inspection of the aircraft carrying weapons. Therefore, the French aircraft entered Mali's airspace illegally. According to the letter, the Malian government has evidence suggesting that France used these airspace violations for intelligence gathering, aiding terrorist groups in the Sahel, and providing them with arms and ammunition. These accusations raise serious doubts about France's role in the region and its impact on security dynamics. This has completely changed how we think about France fighting terrorists in the Sahel region. This also raises reasonable questions about French troops' presence in the region for tens of years, but failing to end terrorism. Perhaps it was because ending terrorism was never on the agenda. Earlier, Mali accused France of training terrorist groups within the country, with former Prime Minister Choguel Kokala Maiga claiming to have evidence supporting this assertion. According to Maiga, French troops established a stronghold in Kidal, a town in northern Mali, and handed control to a group called Ansar al-Din, allegedly linked to al-Qaeda. Maiga alleged that the Malian military was barred from entering this territory controlled by France. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue.
During this year, 2024, we will continue the efforts to reconquer the territory and amplify the struggle. That is why, on the side of defense, we will see the creation of the 1st Combat Brigade, which we have called the Special and Rapid Intervention Brigade. It will bring together different rapid intervention battalions, a group of special forces, and a specific group. This is part of the reorganization of our army, its rearticulation, and the relocation of the different forces. So, we aim to have a strategic equipment plan and a plan for the reorganization of the different forces that came to light in 2023. This will materialize in 2024 by the arrival, therefore, of new heavy means of protection, and therefore, an increase in the firepower of combat units.
But what has Burkina Faso done to fight terrorism that France might sponsor? Yes, Ibrahim Traoré has immediately considered the threat of terrorism and France supporting it. Therefore, he ordered the establishment of a strong and special brigade equipped with the most advanced weapons. This brigade would be deployed immediately throughout the country and will take care of the security situation. This is a groundbreaking shift from the past, when Burkina Faso relied only on French troops for security throughout the country. Ibrahim Traoré's waning trust in French troops has its roots in a significant discovery: learning that France, previously seen as an ally or potential security provider, is implicated in sponsoring terrorism. This revelation likely had a profound impact on Traoré, forcing him to reassess his beliefs about the intentions and behavior of the French government. Imagine Traoré, who once saw French troops as potential allies or protectors, now struggling with the realization that these same forces he relied on are tied to supporting terrorism. This revelation seriously undermines his confidence in the dependability and honesty of French military involvement. Additionally, Traoré's newfound skepticism toward French troops is compounded by his encounters with French spies who were recently arrested. These spies, whether knowingly or unknowingly, have revealed insider information to Traoré about France's covert activities and objectives. Through this integration, Traoré has gained valuable insights into the broader strategies and intentions of the French government, extending beyond their role in sponsoring terrorism. But how will these French spies be punished? Well, various countries combat the threats posed by espionage by utilizing a mix of legal frameworks, intelligence operations, and international cooperation. Burkina Faso, as a sovereign nation, is expected to have established its own legal system to handle issues related to espionage, including the infiltration of spies. Penalties for such offenses can vary depending on the seriousness of the crime and the specific laws. Until now, Burkina Faso has abolished the death penalty for all except war crimes. However, because Ibrahim Traoré is in charge and he knows how to take care of his people and deal with those planning to disrupt peace. In other words, chances are that he might make an exception and make an example out of the situation by giving death sentences or life imprisonment to these spies. Throughout history, powerful leaders have employed harsh methods to control spies within their borders, often aiming to strengthen their authority and defend against threats. For example, under Joseph Stalin's rule in the Soviet Union, the NKVD, the Soviet secret police, conducted extensive purges to eliminate potential threats to the government. Suspected spies endured torture, coerced confessions, and eventual execution. The infamous Moscow trials of the 1930s exemplified this approach, with public trials where alleged spies and traitors were prosecuted, typically resulting in severe sentences or death. Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime in Germany utilized the Gestapo, the secret police, to aggressively target spies and perceived enemies of the state. suspected spies along with resistance members and those accused of aiding enemy forces were captured, interrogated, and often executed. What's more, under Saddam Hussein's leadership in Iraq, the regime's security apparatus, including the Mukhabarat intelligence service, resorted to executions to quash spies. Suspected spies endured brutal interrogations, often resulting in confessions and eventual execution by hanging or firing squad. However, there are also chances that consequences for espionage may range from imprisonment to fines or other forms of punishment. Another option that Burkina Faso can use is to bring legal action against France as a whole for alleged support of terrorism. There are multiple routes that could be taken. One possibility is initiating a lawsuit in international courts, such as the International Court of Justice, ICJ, or the International Criminal Court, ICC. If Burkina Faso were to pursue legal action against France in international courts for purportedly supporting terrorism, it would be incumbent upon them to provide evidence substantiating their claims. This evidence might include indications of direct support or sponsorship of terrorist groups, as well as any resulting harm or damage caused by such support. And Burkina Faso possesses French spies who will say everything. France's careful approach to the situation concerning French spies detained in Burkina Faso stems from an understanding of the sensitivity and potential repercussions of mishandling the matter. Firstly, France is conscious of the diplomatic implications and the delicate nature of its relationship with Burkina Faso. Pressuring Burkina Faso on this issue could strain diplomatic ties and harm the overall bilateral relationship between the two nations. Recognizing the strategic importance of maintaining strong diplomatic relations, France is exercising caution to avoid escalating tensions with Burkina Faso. Moreover, France acknowledges the potential risk of Burkina Faso extracting sensitive information from the detained French spies. As a sovereign nation, Burkina Faso has the authority to interrogate and gather intelligence from individuals detained within its borders, including foreign spies. France understands that urging Burkina Faso to release the spies could result in the disclosure of classified information, jeopardizing French intelligence operations and national security interests. Additionally, France likely appreciates the importance of respecting Burkina Faso's sovereignty and legal processes on this matter. So, how has all this created a scandal within the French intelligence agency? After the news was made public that French spies had been arrested, the French government acknowledged the ongoing legal proceedings but denied allegations that these technicians were sent to Burkina Faso for reasons other than their computer maintenance duties. These incidents have raised concerns within the French government, prompting changes. In late December, France's domestic intelligence chief was appointed to lead the country's DGSE Foreign Espionage Service. Nicolas Lerner, a 45-year-old civil servant who graduated from the elite graduate school ENA, alongside President Emmanuel Macron, replaced a career diplomat as head of the Directorate General for External Security, DGSE. This marks the first time a former head of the Directorate General for Internal Security, DGSI, has taken charge of the Foreign Intelligence Agency. These changes come after a series of scandals involving the DGSE prior to the leadership change. According to Le Monde, Bernard Bajolet, the former Director General of the DGSE from 2013 to 2017, was indicted in October 2022 for complicity in extortion and arbitrary infringement of personal liberty by a person holding public authority. Bernard Emile, who recently stepped down, was also asked to provide an explanation as a witness regarding allegations of extortion by the DGSE against a wealthy entrepreneur named Alain Dumenil in March 2016. Bajolet and his former deputy are suspected of allowing or authorizing the blackmailing of Dumenil, who managed the DGSE's hidden funds in the early 2000s. These revelations have brought significant attention to the DGSE, raising questions about the future direction of the organization under new leadership. What do you think? What should be done with the French spies caught by Burkina Faso's military? Should they be taken into the International Criminal Court? Or should Burkina Faso's courts make their decision and punish them severely? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on why terrorists exist in Burkina Faso and whether they were intentionally created. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.